Cool.
All right.
So I'll just go ahead and jump into the questions. But firstly, would you mind introducing yourself and what job you're currently doing?
All right. So can I say the company name as well, or should I keep that out?
Completely up to you.
Okay. All right. So my name is Tinashe. I am a senior software engineer. I guess hybrid data engineer as well. I don't know. And yeah, I've been in the tech industry for 8 years now, and I'm currently working as a senior data engineer at MS Amlin, which is in the insurance business.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Perfect. And would you mind just talking through how you got into your career now originally?
Sure. I studied computer science at university for 4 years. Did my master's, and then now I'm doing my part-time PhD in computer science as well. But I'd say it was a pretty straightforward trajectory because I always knew I was going to be going to tech since I was 15. So everything I did was to get into tech ever since.
That's amazing. And why do you think, just on a personal level for you, there is such a problem with diversity in the tech industry specifically?
Uh, so because I've thought about this for a while, and I think there's a combination of reasons, but they're not like independently to blame. It's more the tech industry is in itself is quite a small group. It's quite a small industry in terms of people. It's quite niche. Uh, so to have the, I guess, balanced diversity that I guess in today's world everyone would like to see is quite improbable, I'd say, because if we were to take the UK's population alone, given the population as a whole isn't balanced in the different groups, naturally speaking, a very niche, specialized group can never really balance that out either by default. And also, the other thing is to really go into tech in whatever role, you have to be interested in tech to a degree because tech is ever evolving. So you have to stay on that kind of treadmill to keep up. And if you're not in it with that kind of enthusiasm and passion, chances are you will drop out even if you make it in. So naturally speaking, if we then say, oh, you have to be passionate, very interested in tech, and then also want to keep up with all this ever evolving tech. I mean, literally, 2 weeks ago, ChatGPT became a thing, and everyone's on that bandwagon. But AI has been a thing in tech for quite some time, and it's like, but how many people have really kept up with it, right? It's just that's just one example I can think of. So, naturally speaking, I think diversity is improbable, not because I think it can't be done, but I think there's so many factors involved that it's quite difficult to really nail it down and say we achieved it, guys, diversity, because you could achieve it for 1 year and then half the people who were making it in drop out for whatever reason. Maybe they realize tech isn't for them or whatever it may be. So I think that's the main reason. People, I think, come up with other explanations, as I call them, for it, and other groups to blame. And it's it's quite an open industry, tech, in terms of joining it. It's more, do you have what it takes to stay, if you will? That's the I think that's the uncomfortable truth is, yeah, you can make it in because you need a laptop and the desire to learn, and you pretty much will crack through the door. But once you're in, can you stay in the room afterwards? Can you handle the heat when the tough times come? And that's where I think, I mean, the kids would say that's when the real ones are discovered, and all the others who just wanted in for the either the money or the exclusivity or the bragging rights or whatever it is drop out because it's like, oof, during the tough times, I wasn't really prepared to handle that heat, if you will. So I think that's the main reason why the diversity is quite lacking. And I mean, I guess what I'm going to say is might be unpopular, but in some ways, it's a good thing because you don't want your tech industry to be full of people who are not dedicated to the cause, because you end up with worse products. Now, I'm not saying diversity is bad in itself. What I'm saying is when you're achieving diversity, you want the right people to be there. Because if it's just a box ticking exercise, the outcome may be worse, and that may cause more damage than just letting things play out within themselves. Um, yeah, I think that's how I'd say it.
Yeah, and from my perspective, I think there is no right answer or right opinion. It's
Mm,
just down to experience. Just going a little bit off on a side note, I mean, what was it? You said that you knew you wanted to get into technology.
yeah.
What sparked that for you? Was it like a certain thing in your childhood? What kind of made you think, okay, I really want to do this?
So, I mean, I wouldn't say it was my childhood because early on, my professional opinions were based on my parents' professions, and none of them had anything to do with tech. They were tech adjacent, but they literally had nothing to do with tech. I would say it was when I was 14. I think I was 14, yes. 14, yeah, 14. And Facebook became a thing, the social media network. And Zuckerberg was the sensation. I think he just dropped out of Harvard and all that stuff. I think he was what, like 19, 20 years old? He's building this company, that was reshaping social media and all that stuff. And then along that timeline, I think Twitter was built as well. And then I think Dropbox came in a few years later. So I'd say if I to put any one thing, I'd say Mark Zuckerberg was the biggest influence because what he did with Facebook showcased to me that you didn't have to be 40 years old to start a business, right? And so that alone told me that what I need is access to the information, the skills, and the opportunity, and the rest is on me. So that pretty much set my trajectory. I know Zuckerberg isn't a popular figure nowadays, but I gotta give him props where they are. And it's that if it wasn't his actions in 2007, I think it was, or 2006, I probably wouldn't be in tech. Or it would have been taking me a different path to get to tech, probably. So yeah, it's him and Jack Dorsey, the co-founder of Twitter. Those two guys, yeah, they set me on this trajectory.
That's so interesting. Okay, awesome. I was just curious then. Um,
Yeah.
my next question is, what is your experience working in an environment that isn't necessarily quote unquote diverse?
For me, it's been great. I haven't had any problems to speak of. Everyone I've worked with, because I've worked at like 4 or 5 different companies now, I can't remember. And everywhere I've worked, everyone's been helpful. They've taken me under their wing to teach me new things. And I'll gladly say that all the people I've worked with have been the reason why I've been able to go from junior developer to senior developer in like 5, 6 years because they have been instrumental in mentoring me and setting me in the right direction to what I need to know to progress quicker. So personally, I've never had any problems in any way. I never felt discriminated or seen as less than or anything. It's always been it's I'd say it's always been my attitude of wanting to learn and being prepared to learn as much as possible that has probably been my biggest asset. So yeah, so it hasn't been a problem for me.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And you felt as though if you threw yourself into it and
Mhm.
really kind of became a sponge for knowledge,
Yeah.
you had that career path that would take you up until you are now as a
Yes.
senior. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also think my attitude to being a sponge and to being open to new ideas and
Yeah.
opening to learning from those who are senior than me and who know more also I think was good for the people who were working with me because they're in their mind they're like, oh, he's open to our opinions, so why don't we just give him to him and then he has to make decision on what's right for him.
Yeah.
So I think that definitely helped because some of the people I worked with were like in their 50s and they'd been like in technology since like the 1990s and I don't think I was just getting born in the 1990s, so
Mm.
who am I to not listen to such like veterans in the industry, right? they were talking about technology I'd never even heard of that is now pretty much extinct, but used to be the baseline at the time. And so I always took that as an opportunity. So for me, I was always grateful to work with such esteemed people, and
Mm.
I saw as an more. It's like I struck gold. That's how I look at it. Like, oh, I got the opportunity to work with these people, make the most of it. And I think they also resonated with that in relation, and then that formed a great relationship of like a mentor-mentee kind of relationship. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's been great, and I think that's why I think that's why I have the opinions I have on diversity because
Mm.
because I always think of it from, well, the people I worked with may have not looked like me, but they certainly had more experience than I did, and they were willing to impart that experience onto me. So it was a win-win as far as I was concerned. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And that's your experience. So,
yeah,
you know, that is you've got to speak actually the truth from your experience, and that's
exactly,
mainly
yeah.
what this is about. Amazing. And then my last question would be, what advice would you give to companies trying to build up more diverse teams?
Okay, so this one's a tricky one. So one thing I'd say is trying to dive into the current pool of candidates. I know with the current layoffs everywhere, left, right, and center, it seems as there's a lot of candidates in the pool, but it's the same pool. It hasn't changed. It's just now they don't have jobs where you have to pull them away from their jobs. So I'd say if companies are looking to make a more diverse team, probably they don't like my answer to be fair. I'd say forget the current pool because it's already the way it is. You can't change that and more focus on those who are currently in education. Either university level or even probably if a company is willing to go this far, go for kids who are 15, 16-year-olds who are interested in using technology, because that's pretty much all of them right now. And then find those who have an interest or at least a desire to learn about how technology is actually built and how it actually works beyond using it, and then offer them apprenticeships because I no longer think the path to getting into tech is you have to have a computer science degree because it's been proven with boot camps and career changes that you don't need a computer science degree to get in. So I think if the companies started offering apprenticeships to 15, 16-year-old, 17, 18, kind of that age range, you probably could build a highly trained, well diverse team that probably will stay with you for the next 5 years. Yeah, probably in 10 years. Just depends on, you know, market factors after that. So yeah, I think that's probably a good way to go. Or dip into the code camp, code camp, what code academy pool, because I don't know what
Yeah.
that looks like. I'll be honest. I don't have as much knowledge on that, besides that they exist. Or dip into that pool and then offer those people in those code academies some sort of apprenticeship program so that once they finish their 3 or 6 month code academy, they become apprentice and then they can quickly level up basically.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'll probably be more conducive to adding new people to the market of tech and probably have a more diverse group.
Yeah. That's amazing. I really love
Yeah.
that idea. I really love that idea. I haven't heard that, but I totally agree because I think just from my experience, I was definitely always pushed towards more like the arts in my education.
Okay.
Um, just on a personal experience, and I was good at English, so it was always like, you know, that's your path. You're not
Yeah.
mathematical. You're for that. And to be honest, it's probably true in my case. I am absolutely terrible with like statistics, maths, and probably computer science as well. But I
Fair
think if
enough.
there's more kind of conversation or even companies coming into schools and kind of discussing a
Mhm.
bit about what they're doing, I think it would gauge more people's interest in actually can connect that to potentially social media or video games, stuff that is
Yeah.
actually on your mind at that point in life, and you can kind of connect the dots of, oh, actually this could be a career.
Yeah,
um
exactly. Yeah. I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
yeah, so I think that's actually really, really interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. That was all my questions. Thank
All
you
right.
so much for your time.